Izzy, really, Izzy? You need to put on some fuzzy socks? Yeah, of course I'm going to read it out loud. Of course I'm going to read it to everybody. Hang on, everybody. Izzy needs to put on some fuzzy socks. We're just going to wait just a minute because Izzy needs to put on some socks. No, it's important to be comfortable when you're editing, Izzy.
Hypothermia during class. That's
You always got to edit in a blanket, man.
You know, I'm making fun of you, Izzy, but the truth is editors are like the biggest divas in the industry. It's true. Seriously. If you're an editor, a professional editor, like they demand so much. My producer friend was telling me editors are the worst. She's like, oh, we have to buy them like special chairs. We have to buy them like $1,000 gaming chairs because that's what they want and that's what they need because they're editing for so long. And if they want a PC or if they want a Mac, like we have to give it to them. And like she just complains about them endlessly. So if you need some fuzzy socks to edit, Izzy, you're already well on your way to becoming a professional editor. All right. So glad I recorded that. Okay. So what we're going to do here is we're going to get into editing. Now, if we were in class today, I would spend some time going over how a computer is built and how a computer works and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to do that very basically and very quickly today because you do need to have a rudimentary understanding. So when things go wrong, you have an idea of maybe what the problem is. And since we have a wide variety of different kind of computers right now, that brief amount of knowledge might actually be helpful if you need to diagnose something. So very, very briefly, I'm going to tell you the parts of a computer and what they do, and then we're going to get right into editing. So your computer is the most important part of the computer is the CPU. This is what a CPU looks like. I happen to have one on my desk. This is an old one. And this is like the brain of the computer. This is like the calculator. This is what does all of the math and does all the algorithms and does all the work. This is what thinks, okay? And then you have a motherboard. And I don't have my motherboard handy. It's over in the other side of the room, and I'm too lazy to go get it. But the CPU sticks into the motherboard. And the motherboard, for lack of a better analogy, is kind of like your nerve or circulatory system, right? Okay, like it powers all the different little devices that are plugged into the motherboard. Okay, so it's like getting blood to everything, if that makes sense. Okay, and there's a lot of like little chips and stuff like that. So the CPU goes into the motherboard and is powered by the motherboard, and then all the other parts go into the motherboard and they're also powered through the motherboard. They're powered by the PSU, which is the power supply unit, and that's what you plug into the wall. And then it sends electricity into the motherboard, into the circulatory system, and sends it to all these different parts, okay? You also have what's called a GPU, which is a graphics card or a graphics device of some kind, and that sticks into your motherboard, and that does exactly what you think it might, which is help with the graphics of whatever you're looking at on your screen, okay? And then you have like a hard drive or a storage drive of some kind. So for example, I've got an SSD here that I keep forgetting to put into my machine. And this is where you save all your files. So when you save files on your computer, they get saved onto a storage something, like a hard drive that's in your computer or a solid state drive into your computer or an external drive. If you have an external drive, how many of you have an external drive? Hands, okay. That might be valuable to you in the future. That might even be valuable to you today. So I'm going to start, because when we get into Premiere, I'm going to start showing you some settings, and depending upon your unique setup, it's going to be different for everyone. If we were in the classroom, I'd just have you all set it one way and it would be over with. But some of you are going to have different setups today based on your computers. So all these little devices help make your computer work, and then they feed it to the monitor. The last thing that I'll talk about is RAM. So you have something called RAM or memory in your computer, and the RAM or the memory in your computer basically does everything that you're looking at on the screen right now. Okay, so when you boot up a program or when you open something on your screen or when you're drawing on your screen or doing something on your screen, everything that's active on your screen right now is stored in that memory. So there's a lot of different components, and when you're having a computer problem, understanding those different components help you realize, oh, I need to update my RAM, or oh, you know what, my CPU is too slow, or oh, my graphics card is out of date, or so on and so forth. And so to kind of have a basic understanding of that will help us as we get into the settings of our software and as we diagnose any potential problems that we may have with your computer. So that is a very brief overview. It's good knowledge just to have, especially if you're going to go like build your own computer or buy a new computer. understanding what those parts are and what the numbers mean when you look at the specs, right, will help you know if you're getting a good computer or not, for the price that you're getting and all that kind of stuff. So, okay, so that's a very brief overview. What I'd like you to do now is get on your main editing computer, because we are going to get into the editing computer right now. And we're going to get into Adobe Premiere. So I asked you all to make sure that you had Adobe Premiere installed before today. And I broke my own rule and did not update the newest Premiere onto my computer. And when I got into class today, and I was like, oh yeah, I need to do that. And then I couldn't do it because there was a problem with my MVLA account or something. So I will be using an older version of Premiere today, but it doesn't matter. It's still the same, and everything's going to look the same, and it's not going to be an issue. But lesson learned. I should take my own advice. So I'm going to open up Premiere. I actually already have it open. I'm going to share my screen now so you can see where I'm at. And I'm going to turn that off and turn that. Okay, cool. There we go. And I've already opened up Premiere, so I'm already at this window, but you might need to open it up. So go ahead and open up Premiere. And if you don't know which one it is, it's a big, the icon might look a little bit different than mine because yours is updated and mine's not, but it's usually purple and says Adobe Premiere or something like that, or PR or P, or has a little video icon or something. So I'm going to give you a second, and when you're ready, that you have Premiere open, just kind of give me the thumbs up so I know I can move on. Okay, are we waiting on anybody? Are we good? Are we waiting on? Not good. Daria's not good.
Mine says it's verifying something.
Yeah, mine's verifying too.
So verifying, because probably the first.
Mine says, do I have to?
Mr. Taylor.
Yeah.
There's like a Wi-Fi outage, in my area, so I'm just using my phone right now. But I already
let's be specific. There is not a Wi-Fi outage in your area.
Okay.
Because
there's some sort of outage.
So there would be a Wi-Fi outage in your home, or there would be a internet outage in your area. There's a difference between Wi-Fi and internet. Let's use the correct terminology, Reed. Come on, son.
All right, internet outage.
Okay.
But I already have Premiere downloaded, and I kind of know how to use it.
Yeah, no, that's fine. You can still follow. You can still follow along. Yeah, you should still be able to follow along just fine, because Premiere does not require the internet. Although it might want to call home and say, hey, are you signed in or whatever? All right, so we've already got like 1 million chats, as I feared we might. And all we've done is open the program. Okay, all right, Premiere. Yes, Premiere, Chloe, not Rush. Premiere Pro.
Mr. Taylor.
7-day free trial. So Grant, if Grant or someone else says that it's a trial, you have to sign in with your MVLA account, not your freestyle one. So your MVLA one, which it looks like somebody gave you some advice to. Thank you, Jonah. Appreciate that. I like how you guys are helping out each other. So yeah, if it's saying like free trial, or if it's saying like you're behind a paywall or something like that, that means something's wrong with the license, which means it hasn't properly logged into your MVLA thing, which is the same issue that I encountered this morning almost. So you should be able to start your free trial, which will get you through today. Okay, so you should be able to follow along today without any problem, regardless. But that is something that you'll need to figure out in the next, 7 days probably. So that's something that you can play around with, and if you can't figure it out, I can try to help you. But everyone's situation is unique. Usually it's a verifying, email kind of thing. So if you've got a free trial screen or something like that, go ahead and say start trial, and it'll just get us into today. And that way we can at least just kind of get started. So Izzy's verifying. Izzy, you can speak to everyone. You don't just have to speak to me.
Yeah, that was on accident. Sorry.
Yeah. So yours is verifying, and then it went away, and now it won't open. It might just still be thinking about it. So how to sign in and to sign out in different accounts. You'll have to go to Adobe CC. So if I go to Adobe CC, it's this one here, Adobe Creative Cloud. And then I can sign in here using my MVLA account. And it's the same login and password. At least it should be. It was not for me. I've been experiencing some issues with that lately. But I think I can sign in with Google because I'm already signed in Google into my MVLA account. So I think I can probably do that. So that's what I'm going to try at lunch and see if that works. So I'm going to try signing in with Google and then making sure I use my MVLA account. And then I think that might do the trick for me. So that might work for you. But I don't know. Okay, how are we doing? Raise your hand if you actually have it on your screen and you're good to go. Okay, that's like 2/3 of us, maybe. Oh, Daria, you got it? Nice. Okay, so who does not have it? It's okay. It's okay if that's you. So Izzy doesn't have it. Mia doesn't have it. Anybody else? Vamp, you don't have it?
It's still verifying. It's close, but still.
Oh, it's still verifying. Okay, yeah. So this is this is kind of why I wanted you guys to install it ahead of time. I should have told you to install it and open it up ahead of time because like the first run can kind of take a while to do its thing, and that's my fault. I should have thought about that, and I didn't consider that. So
mine shows up, but now it's like just a black screen.
okay.
Or was now I don't know why it's not opening.
Are you on a Mac or a PC?
Mac.
Okay. Is it one of our computers?
Yeah.
Okay. So you might just need to restart. Do you know how to force quit an app?
Maybe.
So if you go down to where all the applications are at the bottom, or was yours?
Okay. Yeah. No. Never mind. I got it.
Did it go?
No, the quit part.
Okay. Yeah, give that a try, and then you can start it up again. But if it was verifying, it might just take a while.
It was, and then it opened up, and then it was just a black screen, and then it just wouldn't open up anymore. So.
Okay. Oh, good, Grant, you got in. Good job, buddy. Go team. Good teamwork, guys. Teamwork makes the dream work. I appreciate you. You're awesome. I appreciate that. So Vamp, you're verifying.
Now I'm signing in.
Oh, excellent. Okay. And Mia, how are you looking? We were waiting for you before too.
Yeah, mine still says installing.
Oh, so you didn't install ahead of time. So
Mhm.
you're going to be a while. I'm not going to be able to wait for you because you're going to
That's
take a
okay.
long time. I'm sorry. That's why I needed everyone to install ahead of time because that's going to be a longer process. So you're going to play a little catch up. Sorry. And then Izzy, did yours restart or?
Yeah, it's opening up now.
Excellent. So can I move on at this stage? Is that you guys okay? Like those of you who are behind, like you're just going to have to, sorry. I don't want to, we can do something again during office hours if we can't get you caught up during class, but I don't want to have everyone sit around and wait. Okay, so this screen here, and if you're downloading still or verifying or something, you can still kind of follow along and put it into your mental head. So this screen here that I'm looking at is just the main screen once Premiere kind of pops up. Yours might look a little bit different because my settings I've kind of customized a little bit. So you might come up with a different sort of first time screen since this is maybe this is the first time you're using Premiere. This is not my first time using Premiere. You can see all my old projects that are in here. So mine comes up with these. Yours is not going to come up with these because you haven't done any projects yet, or if you have, they're going to have different names and all that kind of stuff. But what you need to do is just open a new project. So I'm going to create a new project. So your screen might look a little bit different, but it'll look the same once we get into the project. So go ahead and select a new project. And it's going to open up probably with something that looks like this. Is that something that you guys have? Good, good, excellent. Okay. So this is the first thing that we do before we need to set up stuff in Premiere, okay? And this is unique to the project. Everything that I put into here is going to be saved in the project that I'm looking at. It's not going to be saved in all of Premiere. That's preferences. We're going to get into Premiere preferences also. And when we change preferences, that saves in all of Premiere no matter what project I'm working on. this right here, this window here is unique to the project that I'm creating right now. So I'm gonna make a new movie. I've got a whole bunch of footage from my scavenger hunt, right? And I'm ready to edit that together and make my completed film. So I'm gonna create a new project. So the first thing I need to do is I need to put in a name. So for this, I'm gonna put in, you know, my name, my freestyle name, and I'm gonna put scavenger hunt. So I know what it is, scavenger hunt. I'm never going to see the name of your project file. So if you have a different organization method, that's fine. But I think it's always wise to label, you know, what it is you're working on clearly so you know what it is. I once had a student who thought he was being funny and named his project Dank Memes. And then, you know, he couldn't find it later on because he didn't remember what he called it, you know. And then I get students who change their project names and it's like, this is the real one. No, this is the real one. Really, really, this one, I mean it this time. And it's like, just do version numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like, you know, that kind of thing.
Final number 6.
Exactly, yeah. Final, the real one, final, you know? Like, I'm like, okay, come on, guys. Let's be organized about this. So right now, I only have one project, and it's my scavenger hunt. So the next thing that I need to worry about is my location. Where am I saving this project to? So this is going to be unique to you. Where are you saving all of your projects? Where do you save all of your personal files? Do you have a folder on your computer that you save them to? Do you save them in a documents folder? Do you save them onto your own personal external hard drive? And this is going to be unique to you. I don't know what it is. If we were here at Freestyle, we would save it into your unique folder that's stored on our server. But we're not at Freestyle. You're at home. So you need to think about where you save your stuff. So when you save your homework assignments, when you download a picture from the internet, when you save a movie, you know, where do you save your saved games, whatever it is. So figure out where you are going to be saving your work. For me, I'm going to save it in this folder here that has my name on it because that's me and that's where I want to save it. So I'll say select folder and that's where it's going to save. So make sure you know where your stuff is because you're going to need to be able to open it later. And if you don't know where you saved it, it's going to be hard to find and you'll have to dig around and look for it and that'll be confusing. So make sure you know where you are saving it. Underneath that, we have these options here, general, scratch disks, and ingest. So under general, this is also going to be unique to you. You have this option that says video rendering and playback. And there's an option that says renderer. And you may or may not have different options on this little drop-down window, depending on what computer that you have. This is specific to the type of graphics card that you have in your computer. If we were in the film room, we would all have the same options. But we're not in the film room, and you all have very different computers. So you have different options to select for your renderer. You want to select the right one because this will make your life much, 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 much better. Everything will be faster and smoother, and you'll be able to edit, and life will be grand. So if you have an option that says CUDA, like I do, congratulations, you have a CUDA option. That means you have an NVIDIA graphics card. That means you're going to be loving life, and you should choose that option. If you don't have that option, and you have an option that says OpenCL, you should choose OpenCL, and you'll be happy and you will be loving life. If you don't have either of those options, you will have to use software only, and you will not be loving life. I apologize. But you want CUDA or OpenCL, and I would recommend CUDA if you have both options, although I have done tests on both, and they're actually pretty comparable. Does anyone not have one of those options? Everyone has one of those options? Cool. Cool, cool, cool. This pleases me. Excellent. Okay, so make sure that you have one of those options selected. Then I want you to go to this one that says scratch disks, and this is also going to be different depending on what computer that you are on. Now, pretend for a second that we are all here in the film room, and I wanted your help to lift a couch. I have 2 big couches in here. And if I tried to pick up one of these couches all by myself, first of all, I could, because I am that strong. But second of all, I would not want to do that because that would not be probably safe or healthy, right? Plus, you know, I don't think you guys are ready to see me lift the whole couch all by myself. So I would utilize your help and say, hey, class, help me out. I need you to help me lift this couch. And the more people that help me lift the couch, the easier it would be for all of us to lift the couch. Many hands make light work, okay? So scratch discs is like having extra hands on your video crunching, and it makes work easier. It's like lifting a heavy couch with more people, okay? So when you set scratch discs, you wanna make sure they're set up correctly so that it's like scratch paper. It's like throwaway paper. So you wanna have it set up right. So if you have captured video and captured audio, first of all, you're never gonna use those because we don't live in the early 2000s anymore, and we're not actually capturing video. This is like if you plug in an old video camera that your dad or your mom had, and you're trying to like copy from a tape or something like that. And some of you might do that one day, but it's becoming less and less likely as time moves on. So you don't really need to worry about those. You can leave them the same as project. Under video previews and audio previews, these are very useful scratch discs. We want to divide up the work labor. So if you are on a computer that has more than one hard drive, you want to divide up this to a different hard drive than what your operating system is on, what the program is running on. That would be helpful. So for me, for example, my Windows and my Adobe Premiere is running on the hard drive that is labeled with the letter C. Okay, it's the C drive. Okay, all right. My storage, all my stuff is stored on our server. And here under video previews and video audio previews, I have a little hard drive like the one that I showed you in my computer, and it's used just for this. And this actually makes things much faster. Okay, so if you have an extra if you're on a Mac, you don't have this option because you're on a Mac. Sorry, you're tough luck. If you're on a PC, you might have additional hard drives in your PC. Or if you're on a Mac or a PC and you have an external hard drive that you are not using, you can plug in that external hard drive and use your external hard drive as a scratch disk. And if it's a good external hard drive, it's a fast external hard drive, this can actually speed up your video editing quite a bit. Okay, so that's a little bit technical, and it's gonna be different for all of you. So if you have, I'm gonna move on from that, but if you have questions about that, or you wanna know how to customize your unique machine to give you the very, very best, I would encourage you to first do some research. First, try to learn about it yourself because you'll learn the most that way. And then if you have questions and you haven't figured it out, or you just want to tell me what you learned, then contact me and I'll take a look at what you got and I'll say, yeah, that's awesome. You set it up the right way. Or, oh, you know what? You actually will get better results this way. Okay. But try to research it yourself first. You'll learn better that way and you'll remember it that way and you'll learn a whole bunch that will help you in the future. If you only have one hard drive on your machine, none of this matters. You're just going to keep it all the same as project. The other important one that you need to look at is project autosave. Now, this is very important. You all need to pay attention to this very, very, very carefully, okay? Premiere auto-saves your work, okay? But it's not really auto-save, okay? They're using the wrong terminology and it's misleading, okay? What they're really doing is auto-backing up. Okay, when Premiere auto saves, you'll see it on your screen sometime. It's like auto save, and you're like, great, it's saving. I don't have to save. Wrong. Wrong. If you exit the program without saving, your changes will not be there. There will, however, be a backup that Premiere made and saved into a different folder with a different file name. Okay, so it's not, to get that into your head, it's not auto saving. You still need to save manually yourself when you want to. But it's auto backing up. So if your computer crashes, you'll have a backup file that's different from your file that you created that you can open up. And Premiere will save that every so often, depending on your own personal preferences. So it's not auto save, it's auto backing up. And this place here is telling it, where do you want those auto backup files to be? I think the same as project is the best place to keep that. That way you can find it right away if you need to. Okay. Once I have those settings set, I'm not going to worry about ingest settings because we're not going to deal with that today. I'm going to say okay, and then we're finally going to get into Premiere and look at some more stuff. Yes. All right. Exciting. All right. You should have a screen that looks something similar to mine. Your layout might be a little bit different. The layout changes sometimes, or you might have a different layout set. Right now I'm on the color tab for some reason. I don't know why. I'm going to go to editing because editing is a better layout for what we're doing today. So you might have a layout that looks similar to mine or a little bit different, but it's empty. We've got nothing in there right now, which is fine. So before we get anything else set up, there's a few more preferences that we need to look at to try to, so that we can make this work the best as possible for all of us. So I'm going to go to File. Sorry, I'm not going to go to File. I'm going to go to Edit, and then I'm going to go to Preferences, and then I'm going to go to General. Okay, so here are my preferences. You should see something like this. Does everyone see something like this? Yeah? Yes? No? 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 No preferences?
How did you get there?
I went to Edit. I went to Edit, and I'll close it. You can see me do it again.
Edit Preferences General.
Yeah, Edit Preferences General. My apparently Premiere is crashing though. So.
Yeah, I was having similar issues.
Oh, there we go. I'm back. Okay. So Edit, Preferences, and then I chose General. And then it's going to take a second, and then it'll open up.
When I go to edit, thing is grayed out for me.
Edit is grayed out?
On the newer version, you go to just click on Premiere Pro and then hit preferences.
Oh, okay. Thanks. So there you go. There's a difference in the newer version. Thanks, Reed. Appreciate that. Is it pretty much the same once we get into here, Reed? Yeah?
Yeah.
What they're talking about. I have the same thing as you.
Okay. So it sounds like
maybe it's a PC Mac thing.
Maybe it's a PC Mac thing. It sounds like it might be a PC Mac thing. So find your preferences. It might be under Premiere Pro preferences, or it might be under Edit preferences. Okay. And then go ahead and go to General, and then you should see something like this. Am I okay to move on now? Good. I see some nodding heads. Okay. Cool. There's a couple things in here that I'll go over just really briefly. Appearance, for example, if you want to change like how light or how dark your screen is, your windows, you can adjust that, kind of customize it yourself. It's not a huge deal, but I like my stuff dark because I think it's better on the eyes. But if you wanted to change it, you could, for example. There's audio stuff in here. We're not going to worry about that today. We're going to leave everything on the default. There's audio hardware in here. If you're somebody who switches around a lot, like in my home setup at home, I have like an amp connected to my computer. And if it's not turned on, I have to switch devices and all this kind of stuff. Hopefully that's not something that anyone has to deal with. But if you have sound issues, you might check under audio hardware. Here's the autosave. Here's something that you do want to look at. The checkbox tells us to automatically save. Remember, it's backing up. It's not saving. It's backing up. To automatically back it up. And this tells us how many versions to save and how often to save. So the default, at least on mine, is every 15 minutes, and it's going to save 20 project versions. So what that means is it'll go autosave number 1, autosave number 2, autosave number 3, and it'll go all the way to 20. And when it reaches 21, it'll just start over at 1 again. So when you're looking for so if your computer crashes and you're looking for that auto backup, it's not going to be number 20 all the time. You have to look at the timestamps and see which the most recent one is. And it might be number 5 out of 20, or it might be 10 out of 20, or it might be 20 out of 20. You don't know. You just have to look and see which one the latest one is, because it'll cycle through, if that makes sense. So if you want to save it more than every 15 minutes, you could change that. If you want to save more than 20 versions, you could change that. I like these numbers. That's a pretty good amount. 15 minutes is a good amount, I think. There are other options here. You can customize, your labels if you want to. There's media options here, and there's media cache options here. Again, if you are using a special scratch disk like I have in the film room, if you have a devoted drive that you're using just for your scratch drive, you might also want to store your media cache files on that drive. I don't know that any of you have a setup that's like that at home, but if you were doing that, you'd want to change that, and that would help you out. Here's where you allocate memory. So I have a ridiculous amount of memory. I have 64 gigs on my machine here of memory, which is a lot. I think the minimum for Premiere is like 8 or something like that. I'm nervous to ask. Does anyone have a number below 8 under installed RAM? Does everyone have 8 or higher? Ben, what do you have?
actually have 64.
Oh, you're okay. All right. You're
I'm
raising your
vibing.
hand like,
Oh, sorry.
yeah. Okay, good. So like 8's kind of the minimum. 16's really more ideal. But we're going to do the best with what we got. I know everyone's got different computers, and RAM is something that you can update in your computer if you need to. Depending on what kind of computer you have, it might not be very expensive, or it might be a few $100s. It just kind of depends. But that will make your life faster, your computer faster if you need to. You can also adjust this. So right now, I'm reserving 57 gigs for Premiere and other Adobe stuff, which is a heck of a lot. So if I need more RAM, I can change this number here by dragging it and sliding it around. So I could change it to like a whole bunch if I wanted to. But 57 is more than enough for what I need. It's really overkill, but that's fine. So I would allocate, a good chunk of your RAM. When you're editing, you don't need RAM for a whole lot else. So I would say, save. I would say save. Why is it? I would say save. If you're on 8 gigs, I would save like 1 gig for everything else and use 7 for Premiere, for example. Okay, that's all we're gonna do with preferences. Again, if you need help with preferences or you want to learn more about that kind of stuff, I encourage you to do some research, Google it around. Adobe has websites that kind of walk you through this a little bit for your best setup possible and kind of stuff. And learn that way first, because that will really, really help you. And then if you need more help, you can ask me. Chloe asks, is 6 RAM for Pro and 2 for the other good? I would say it's not great. I would probably set it to 7 and 1, because 6 is pretty low for video editing. You'll just be a little bit slower when making changes and stuff. But I can show you some tricks about how to make that as the best you can. So it's not going to be super, super, super slow. Okay, so now we're back to this screen. So here, there's a couple different windows here, and I'll kind of explain what is what. So at the top here, there's these different tabs. And these different tabs are like different layouts based on the kind of work that I'm doing. I'm going to stay on the editing tab today. We're not going to go into any of the other layouts today, but if you wanted to change a layout, you could click on another one of those depending on what kind of work that you were doing. But you can actually also customize this. I can actually take this window and drag it over here if I want. And if I want to take my timeline and drag it over here, I can. And if I want to remove it entirely, I could exit out. I don't know why I would want to do that. That's really going to screw me up, but I could do that. So you can really customize your layout however you want. If you remove something or you mess up the layout and you want to just go back to normal, it's really easy. Just go to Window and go to Workspaces and go to Reset to Saved Layout. And then it'll just bring it all back to normal. That's a wonderful, wonderful trick, because many of you are going to accidentally close something or move something in your early stages of editing. So always just go to Window, Layouts, or Workspaces, and then just revert to saved layout. And that way it'll all go back to normal and everything's safe and wonderful. Okay, this first monitor here, so there's kind of 4 big windows. Your screen should look something like mine. Does everyone have those 4 big windows? 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. Okay, cool. Okay, so this first big window here is your source monitor. When you bring in a video, you can put it into your source monitor and you can kind of edit it from there and then move it into your timeline. Down here is the timeline, and this is where all of our edited clips go to kind of create our finished movie. And when we watch our timeline, when we play it back, we see it here on our program monitor. Okay, so the program monitor, like, this is your final movie. Like, this is what you're gonna see if you spit it out and save it. That's like that. This is what you get. Okay, whereas this is like just kind of like your raw material stuff. Okay, and here where it says project, this is called your bin, B-I-N. This is called your project bin. It's like a big bucket where you put all your stuff. Okay, all the good stuff, all of your raw assets, all your clips, all your sound effects, all your bits of music, any photos that you're gonna use. You can put all kinds of good stuff in here, okay? And Premiere is really good about taking different file types, or at least they were until the latest version, Adobe. Yeah, talking to you, jeez. But you can put a lot of stuff in here, a lot of different kinds of videos, a lot of different kinds of clips, sounds, it doesn't matter usually doesn't matter what type of files they are. If it's a media file, you can bring it in. So that's how we're actually going to start, is we're going to bring in some media into this project. So I told you all to have your scavenger hunt video footage downloaded. Now to save time, I'm not going to have you import all of it right now because some of you are on slower machines, and if you import it and you shot a lot, which is cool, it might take like a solid several minutes for it to import it all. We're just going to import like 2 clips right now, just so we can practice and kind of know what we're doing. So to import, there's a number of different ways that we can do this. There's no real right or wrong way unless we get into a different kind of setting, but we're not advanced yet, so we're not going to worry about that. So for the purposes of this lesson, there's no right or wrong way to import clips into Premiere. And there's a few ways that we could do it. We could go File, Import, and then we could browse to the clip that we want to import. We could highlight several clips and then import it and then say Open, and it'll bring it in. We could also just open up a window and just drag stuff in. Like we could do that. We could actually just drag something right into Premiere like so, if we wanted to do that. And then we could also do it from the media browser. I could click on this media browser and I could find my media here, and I could kind of find where it is and say, here's my folder, and it would load up. And it would take a second and then be like, here's my stuff. And then I could highlight my stuff and I could right click it and I could say import, and then it would bring it in. Okay, there's no right or wrong way to do it. Do whatever works for you. It does not matter. But I'd like you to bring in like 2, maybe 3 clips right now. Don't bring in any more than that because some of you might be waiting forever. The question is, how do I import from Google Drive? You can't, because Google Drive is not on your computer. Google Drive is on the internet. That's why I said you need to download to your computer. So if you don't have the clips downloaded to your computer, just get 1 or 2 from Google Drive real quickly. Just download it from Google Drive. There's a button to download, or you can right click it and hit download on Google Drive. Right clicking, by the way, is the answer to everything in Adobe and many other computer applications, okay? If you're on a Mac and you have not enabled your right click, you are missing out on half of the world, okay? Because right clicking is constant, especially in Premiere and Adobe and all that kind of stuff. So if you need to enable your right click in Mac, it should already be enabled, but if it's not, you'll have to do that in your little Apple preferences and all that kind of stuff. Okay. Daria, did you get your dog okay? Okay, solid. Daria's dog has made an escape. She must go catch him. Okay. All right. Thanks, Ben. Thanks for giving me the update. I appreciate that. All right. So I'm going to bring in some clips. So I'm going to go to my folder. Let's see. I'll go to my folder and I'm going to find some raw footage here. I'm going to find something, let's see. That's like, I don't want to bring in a lesson because that will look weird. I want to bring in like some type of raw footage. Where can I get some raw footage? Oh, I know. I have some green screen footage, which I'll also be teaching you at some point in the near future. All right, I'm going to bring in my niece because I think she's the best. So I'm just going to drag this in, and Premiere will think about it for a minute and be done. And now I have 2 clips in my bin. Okay, everyone have a couple clips in their bin? Cool. Grant, you able to download some stuff and get it in there? Still catching up? Okay, that's fine. I know it takes a while to download and get it in there and stuff. Okay, so here in your bin, there's a couple options. So your bin might look a little bit differently than mine. Yours might look like this with like some little thumbnail or something like that. You can change the size of your thumbnails by dragging this little slider, okay, which is kind of nice. I only have 2 clips, so maybe I want them big. But if I had a lot of clips, maybe I want them small. Or if I had a lot of clips, maybe I want to hit this button and go to list view, which I actually prefer. I actually prefer list view because list view gives me some information about the clips. For example, my frame rate. I know that both of these clips are 24 frames per second. It says 23.976, but that's 24. We call that 24. So I know that my clips are at 24 frames per second. And if I slide down here, I can see how long the clip is. If I slide further down, I can see the resolution size. I can see what kind of audio is attached to it. So I actually like list view. List view is great. And there's some other options. And you can actually right click here and go to metadata display. And you can actually choose millions of other options if you want to customize list view, which is super cool. So if you wanted to add or remove stuff, you could. And there's even metadata that you could add to this, for example. So if I added, so like both of these clips have my niece or something like that. So if I wanted to, I could type my niece's name in there. And if I had like 50,000 clips in here and I did a search and I typed my niece's name and I put it in the metadata, these clips would actually come up. That's pretty cool, right? That's pretty cool. You can add metadata and then search the metadata and it will come up. So that's really helpful if you have a lot of clips. In the film industry, they hire some grunt like you or me to do that just for the clips. So they call it logging footage. And they log footage and they just put in the scene numbers and the actor numbers and what kind of a shot it is and all that kind of stuff. So when the editors need to find it, they can actually do it really quickly. The diva editors, they don't do that. They have some grunt to do that instead. They're too busy in their fancy chairs, eating their red vines and drinking their orange crush, right? Okay.
I feel attacked.
Yeah, exactly.
With their fuzzy socks.
Yeah, their fuzzy socks. Okay. So now that I have 2 clips in here, I'm ready to actually begin editing. Now, there are 2 sort of styles of editing that I'm going to teach you. There's no right or wrong way. You should find your own style and decide how you want to go about it, okay? But there are 2 methods. One's called the source monitor method, and one is called the timeline method. And I started on one method and changed to another, but I don't want to tell you which one's which, so because I want you to decide what you like yourself. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do when we're ready to create kind of our new movie is we need to create a new sequence. Now, this is important. This is important. I want you all to pay attention. I'm going to prep something here. Hang on. So I'm going to bring in, no, not there, here. Okay. All right. I'm gonna bring my Indiana Jones photo as an example so you guys understand what's gonna go on here. Okay. So I brought in a picture because you can bring in a picture into Premiere, which is cool. Okay. Now over here, Adobe is like the overeager friend. Okay. Like Adobe likes you a lot. It wants to save for you. It wants to do auto backing up for you. It just really wants to make you happy, but sometimes it gets a little too excited. So here in my timeline, Adobe's like, drop media here to create a sequence. It's just so excited. It wants to get started. It wants to work with you. It's like, drop your media here, drop your media here. Don't do it. Do not listen to Adobe. Adobe's just a little excited, okay? He'll settle down. It'll be okay. But Adobe wants you to drop stuff here, but this is a bad idea, and I will show you why. Because when you drag a clip or a piece of media into this timeline, it is going to create a new sequence, which is a kind of another word for timeline. It is going to create a new sequence based on the first bit of media that you drop in. So for example, if I go to list view, okay, my media, my videos that I shot are 24 frames per second, and they're at 1080p. That's what I want. The image that I just brought in, however, is at a resolution of 5,003, something totally different. So if I brought in my image first, it's going to create this timeline. Everything looks great. You think everything's wonderful. Then I'm going to bring in my video. I'll be like, what's going on? Why is my video so small? Why is there all this empty black space around my video? Mr. Taylor, Premiere's doing something wrong. I don't know what's going on. Okay, well, the answer is you got a little excited and you created a sequence from this image, which had a much different resolution size. Remember, we talked about resolution size on like day 1, right? So that's very different resolution size. So don't just drag in clips into the sequence. That is a bad idea. So I'm going to undo all of that. Undo, by the way, is a wonderful shortcut that you should learn. It is Control Z on my PC. If you're on a Mac, it'll be something slightly different, but undo is a nice shortcut that you'll
It's
want.
Command Z or
It's
Command Shift Z.
yeah, it'll be Command Z or something like that on you crazy Macintosh people. Okay, so what I want to do is create a sequence, but I'm smart. I know what I'm doing. I know the settings I want on my sequence. I don't want Premiere to do it for me. I'm going to do it myself. So I'm going to go to File, New, Sequence, or if you want to do the shortcut, it'll be listed there. It'll be Command N or Control N, depending on what platform you're on. And this box will come up. And here I have many presets that I can work with to create my sequence. I'm going to give my sequence a name. I'm going to call this Scavenger Hunt because that's what I'm supposedly working on. Scavenger. I'll just call it Scavenger because I'm lazy. And then here, there's all these different settings to choose from. Now, I gave you all a camera. What kind of a camera did I give you? Anyone? Anyone?
DSLR.
A DSLR. And lo and behold, there is in Premiere a digital SLR preset that you can choose from. So this is very handy for us. So I'm going to choose DSLR. I'm going to drill it open by hitting the little arrow. I'm going to choose 1080p because that's what my DSLR shoots at. Now, if you have a DSLR that shoots on a different resolution because you have your own camera that's 4K or something like that, maybe that's an option you want to choose that's different. But right now, I have a 1080p option for digital SLR, which is what I shot this on. So I'm going to choose 1080p. And then here, I need to choose the frame rate. I need to know my frame rate. Remember, I told you when we talked about frame rates, you need to know what frame rate you're choosing and be smart about it and be consistent. If you don't know, you can go over here to list view in your bin and you can look and see. I just showed you in my list view that my footage was 24 frames per second. So I'm going to choose the 24 frames per second preset and that looks good. And then I will say, okay. And now I have the proper sized sequence. So if I bring in my video clip, it's going to be the right size. If I bring in my photo clip, you can see how much bigger my photo is compared to my video. Okay. I'll delete my photo because I don't need my photo. Okay. So go ahead and make a sequence if you have not done so already. And then you should have a nice set of tracks here in a nice empty set of tracks here in your timeline. Give me a thumbs up when you're there and you're good and you're ready to keep on moving.
My Adobe says that there's an error, and so it needs to shut down.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. So just like let it happen.
Yeah, unfortunately. This is going to be the kind of the computer issues that we're dealing with. I mean, we're not all dealing. I mean, the computers in the film room were brand new. I built them last year myself. I know exactly what parts are in them, you know, like they're kind of made for this kind of stuff, whereas your computers aren't. And even our freestyle computers, if you got a freestyle computer, you know, a lot of those are older freestyle. There's a reason why we're giving them away to students, right? Because they're older computers. So some of them are not quite up to snuff as far as stuff. Okay, so some questions that are here. Jonah asks, what happens if I shot on a mirrorless camera? You'll have to choose a resolution size and a frame rate that you shot on. So if you shot, so just as long as the resolution and the frame rate are the same, it really doesn't matter which one of those presets you choose. They're just handy presets to have. Vamp says, I still don't know how to find the settings on your computers. What settings specifically are you talking about?
Like I don't know how to open the like presets, and when we went to
Sequence?
sequence, and the other thing where you like went to the top and settings for the pro, I can't find that either.
Okay, well let's not worry about that one. Let's just get a new sequence in there. So are you in Premiere right now?
Yeah.
Do you have an option that says, are you on a Mac or a PC?
Mac, I think. It's the Apple one.
It's the Apple one, yeah. So you're on a Mac. Okay, so you're gonna want to go to, is there a file option or a Premiere option?
No, I
On
don't
the
have
upper left-hand corner of your screen?
No, there's no file, and then under the Apple,
Is
there's
there one that says Premiere though? Is there a Premiere Pro option?
no, I don't. Oh, yeah, okay. I see that now.
Okay. And then under that, do you have an option that says New?
No.
No?
No. I found preferences.
Yeah, we're not worrying about preferences right now though. We're looking for New.
Oh, okay. It was under, okay. I found it.
You found it? Okay, so go to new, and then you're gonna choose sequence.
Okay.
And then that'll come up, and this is where you choose digital SLR, and you're gonna choose 1080p, and then you're gonna choose the frame rate that you chose, which was probably 24 or 30. It's not 25 because we don't live in Europe.
Okay. Thank you.
Uh-huh. Okay, when you have a timeline that is created here, you will see different tracks. So these V tracks are video tracks. These A tracks are audio tracks. You can add as many as you want forever and just keep on adding video tracks and audio tracks. There may actually be a limit, but you'll never use them all. So every time you bring in a video clip or an audio clip, like so, it will have a video track and an audio track. And the audio track you can actually see there with a little squiggly lines. That's we call that the waveform. You can actually visually see what your audio looks like, which is kind of cool. Okay. And if I bring in another video clip and put it on a different track, like this, I put it on a higher track, it will show me what's on top. So this clip goes to here, and if I go through, you'll see it jump when I get to the next clip. Look, see how it jumps? Because it's showing the clip that's on top. Because this video track 2 is above video track 1. So it's like layers, if that makes sense. Kind of like Photoshop when you have layers in Photoshop, but a little bit different. Okay? Okay, so I'm going to delete this. All right. These blue buttons have different sort of controls, and these eyeballs will hide the layer. If you hide a layer, when you export, it will not be there. So make sure that you don't hide a layer and then forget to unhide it if you want it in your final movie. Excuse me. All right, so 2 ways of editing. This first way is called the source monitor way. What you can do is you can drag a clip from your bin, your bucket, and drag it up to your source monitor. You can also just double click it. That's another way to get it there. So if you double click or drag a clip, it will come to your source monitor. And then here in your source monitor, there's a little timeline right under here, and I can scrub through, we call it scrubbing. I can scrub through the footage and kind of see what I'm looking at, okay? Now, if I want to edit this clip and say, okay, I want this part from here until here. That's what I want. I don't want the beginning part, and I don't want the end part. This is the good stuff right here in the middle. What you can do is you can hit this little button here that says mark in. You can also do this just by pressing the letter I on your keyboard. Okay, and it'll mark it in. And then I'm gonna go to where I want the clip to end, and I can press this little button here, or I can press the letter O on my keyboard. I'm just gonna press O and mark it out. Okay, and now if I take this clip, if I click on the window and drag it into my timeline, it's only gonna give me that selected portion of the clip in my timeline. Okay, if I want just the video and I don't care about the audio, I want to get rid of the audio, I can drag this little film strip here where it says drag video only, and I can just drag that. Or I can do the same thing with the waveform and take just the audio only, which could be kind of handy. Okay, so I'm going to drag this whole clip in, and I've just edited a clip in the source monitor. It looks so small here on my screen, so I'm going to grab this slider down here on my timeline, and I'm just going to slide this so it's bigger. And I can slide left and right like that. And I can also do it up and down. If I want to make it bigger up and down, I can do that as well with these sliders here. Okay, that's called source monitor editing. Okay, so I can drag clips in here, get the part that I want, and then move them into my timeline. The other way of editing is called timeline editing. And that's where I take my raw clip right here, I drag it right into my timeline, and I edit it right here on my timeline and then move it to where I want it to be. So for this clip here, I want this part. So I'm going to grab the end and just move it like that to this part. And I could drag the end and move it like that. Or I could actually cut it. I could go here to this razor tool right here, and there are shortcuts. I can press C, for example, and it'll go there. And I can actually cut it wherever I want. I could cut it here, I could cut it there, I could cut it there, and I'm just cutting this clip into many, many pieces all over the place. And then I can go back to my arrow tool, and I can move these clips around. I can reorder them. I can put this clip in front of this clip. I can delete this part entirely by pressing delete, highlighting and pressing delete, and I can move this one over here. And then, you know what, I actually wish this one was a little bit longer. I can do that. or I wish it started later, I can do that as well. And I can move it around and organize it and put my clips in where I want it to be. And this is called timeline editing, where you edit right on the timeline. There's no right or wrong way. You can do it a little bit of both. You can edit in a source monitor. You can edit right there in the timeline. It's really up to you and what you are comfortable with. The advantage to editing in the source window is that it keeps your timeline kind of neat, so that you don't like lose clips or anything like that. The advantage to editing it in the timeline is that you have all of your pieces, kind of like a puzzle. You have all of your puzzle pieces kind of right there at once that you can kind of organize. So it really just depends on your own kind of brain and your own method for how you like editing stuff. Does that make sense? You guys understand? Okay. So what we're going to do with your footage is as soon as we're done with today, and I got about 7 minutes left, as soon as we're done with today, you're going to import all of your scavenger hunt footage from your group, your footage and your group's footage. You're going to bring that all into your computer, and you are going to edit it together and show us all of the clips that you got. And the other part that you need to do is you're going to add titles to each of your clips so that we know which one's which. So you're going to put a title on each one that says wide shot, medium shot, this is a fire hydrant shot, this is slow motion, this is, wide angle, whatever the shot is, you're going to put a title on it. And there's a couple ways to do titles, okay? There are 2 ways. There's the old way, which I actually prefer, and then there's the new way. So the new way is you go on top of your clip and you highlight it and you go to Effect Controls, and then you hit the title thing right here, and you can just sort of start typing. You drag a little box and I'll say super because she's flying. And then there's my title. And I can edit this here in the Effect Controls. So next to Source, I want to change it to Effect Controls. This is my Effect Controls window. I highlight the clip that I'm working on, and then I can adjust this stuff by clicking on the text here. I can adjust this. So if I want to change the size of the text, I can do that. If I want to change the justification, all that stuff, I can adjust it. I can move it around, all that kind of stuff. So this is the new way. Premiere started doing it this way. This is how they do new titles. So you just use that text tool and do it right here on the program monitor. And some of you are really going to like that. And that's the way that you're going to like to do it. And if you like to do it that way, that's fine. That's great. Go for it. For me, I just learned differently. So for me, it's kind of, I'm used to my old ways. I'm stuck in my old ways. So I like to do it the old fashioned way because that's just what I'm used to. And if you want to try the old fashioned way, you create a new asset. So you go to File or Premiere and you go to New, the same place that you went to with, uh-oh, I'm not responding. Give me a minute. You go to the same place that you went to when you're creating a new sequence. Okay, let's do. You go to File and you go to New Legacy Title. So I'm going to go to File and I'm going to choose Legacy Title. I'm going to give it a name. So for example, this is my wide shot. So I'm going to say wide, and I'm going to open it up, and it's going to open up this whole separate window where I create titles. So I'm going to draw, I'm already on the text box here, so I'm going to draw a little box, and then I'm going to type wide shot because that's what I'm making. And then when I'm done, I can customize the font here, all that kind of stuff. I can change the size. I can really have fun with it. I can do a lot of stuff in here. And when I'm done, there's even some presets here. Like maybe you want this preset here. When I'm done, I'm just going to click this X. And what it does is it actually creates a new asset in my bin. Here's that title right here. And it says wide. So if this is my wide shot here, I take my title and I'm just going to put it on the layer above my video. And then there's my title. There it is. And if I want to change that, I'm like, oh, I like that, but I kind of wish it was on the right-hand side. I can just double click it and go here to the arrow tool and actually just move this where I want it to be. And then exit out. And there it is. I like this method because it gives me a block that I can visually see and edit with. So I like that, but you guys might like the new method. So don't, if you like the new method, go for it. Like that's kind of the way the future is going. It just kind of depends on your own personal preferences. So your mission, should you choose to accept it, is in lieu of class on Thursday. We will not be meeting as a class on Thursday. because if we were here in class, we would spend all day Thursday just editing your scavenger hunt videos. So in lieu of class on Thursday, you'll be editing your own scavenger hunt video. Now, normally we would do this in groups. Your group of 3 would edit together and you'd take turns. Probably not a practical, I mean, we could try to do that by sending project files back and forth, but I think that's gonna be too much for a lot of people right now, and to understand how that works. So you're each gonna edit your own, which is fine. And I just want you to get familiar with Premiere and kind of putting it together. So what I'm looking for, what you are required to do is put in all of your clips, edit them together. Okay. Get rid of, all the fat. You need to trim out all the fat. So it's edited. So it's kind of, we don't need to see 30 seconds of a wide shot, right? We only need to see like 4 seconds of a wide shot. So you're going to edit all your clips together, and then each shot is going to have a title identifying what that shot is. You're not going to export it yet. Okay. Don't worry about exporting it. You're just going to edit it together. That's what you're going to do this week. Next week, when I see you again on next Tuesday, a week from today, you need to have it done and ready in your timeline. And then we're going to all get on together. I'm going to show you how to export it and how to put out your finished movie into a finished video file. And you're going to export that. And then I will collect those so that I have an opportunity to watch them all. Okay. So it is required to have all your clips edited for next Tuesday and for each clip to have its title. Okay. Beyond that, if you want to have fun with it, have some fun with it. If you want to experiment, there are different effects here. If you go to effects down here, there's video effects, there's video transitions. Okay. I haven't taught you about any of that stuff yet. Okay. If you want to experiment with that, that's great. Go for it. Video effects and video transitions can be fun. Okay, you can experiment with that. I really believe in learning by doing. So no one taught me video editing. Nobody taught me Premiere. I taught myself just by clicking stuff and screwing stuff up and moving stuff around. And this video scavenger hunt is meant to be a project like that. I want you to click on stuff, screw around, and mess stuff up and get it, learn by discovering things that way, because you'll learn it better that way. You'll remember it forever that way. So if you want to add music, you can add music. You can bring in an MP3 or a file or something like that. You can download music and put it into your tracks. You can download sound effects. You can have some fun with it. But all I'm looking for as far as points go are, did you put all your clips in there? Did you edit them so they're all like kind of edited together? And do they have a title? That's it. And you need to have your name on it. Make sure you put your name as a title at the beginning or at the end or something like that, so I know who it belongs to. Okay, are there any questions? We're out of time. Are there any questions? Okay, if you do have a question, you can hang out. I know it's lunchtime right now, so you can hang out. I'm not going anywhere. If you need some help right now, you can hang out. If you need some clarification right now, you can hang out. Otherwise, I will not see you on Thursday. I will put that on the slate when I update the slate on Wednesday, and I will remind you in an email. You have Thursday off. You can use it to edit. You can use it to go to the beach. I do not care. Just make sure you have your edited stuff ready to go in class next Tuesday. So it's up to you to manage your time. Fair enough? Cool. I'll see you later. Thanks for being attentive. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.